right, so what we're going to show here is a lot of some of our newer instrumentation. So we have 4 different Orbitrap Exploris 240. So these are our newest instruments that we got from Thermo. And essentially we have 4 different ones. They're mostly set up to do this really flexible kind of work schedule. So you can essentially have, like this system, for example, we have 2 of these that are identical, right? So you have 2 sets of pumps. These are called high flow pumps, right? So if you look at this, you have like an A pump and a B pump, and you can do what's called a binary gradient. So you can do that. You also have a pump here. You have the same pump here. So you can do a lower pump or you can do an upper pump. What that allows us to do in this system, this is the auto sampler, but there's 2 independent valves. So we can plumb or use a certain type of chromatography on this one with, let's say, ion pairing agents, something where we're doing a Lego nucleotide, which is a very popular modality that we're doing in science right now. We can do that and we plumb through one channel of that valve, and then you go through other parts, which I'll explain in a minute, then you go into the mass spec. This allows you to plumb your one set of mobile phases through one side of that valve, your other set of mobile phases through the other valve. Today I can run oligos, tomorrow I can run peptides. I don't have to change anything. Now the one common line is there's a line from this valve to the mass spec. That will be your only common line, and then the mass spec itself. We have 2 pumps and a dual armature, so it's almost like 2 LCs for one. And then on top of that, this is the part that's kind of cool in this system, right? Is we have this thing called a Neo pump. It's a new pump from Thermo. This flows at 100 nanoliters a minute to 100 microliters a minute. So what that does in essence is it concentrates your sample so that we can detect more things when we use this type of configuration than when we're using this high flow. So your sensitivity is enhanced and you can go further into the proteome or into your sample kind of to cover the different ranges of quantitation that you might need to do. Then to make it even more interesting, right? So we have 2 column ovens, which allows you to heat your column, cool your column, do different things. We have 2 valves in each oven, and then we also have an external valve. Again, what that allows us to do is maybe I want to do some loading at high flow. So I have an antibody column. I want to do some online antibody enrichment. So we do a lot of what's called hybrid mass spec. That's online immunoprecipitation, and you can build an antibody column, and then you could load the antibody column at 0.5 ml a minute. Fast. And then you could elute from that into, let's say, this little tiny trap column at whatever, 300-400 microliters a minute. But then you use this pump to do that really small flow that I talked about to go into the mass spec. The only thing in the mass spec that changes is this is your normal high flow source. There's like these columns chromatographically that we separate all the different molecules that we look at. This is a column built into this little coil, and we just directly plug it in, and then it gives you that little tiny water pick, flow rate, and the other one might be the fire hose flow rate. Now, when I was saying you could do peptide versus oligo, those can all be done high flow. The main advantage of going again to this nano or micro, it does both micro and nano, because the range of this pump goes from 100 nanoliters to 100 microliters. Usually 1 microliter or less would be considered, sub 1 would be nano, because then you're in the nanoliters flow range. There's all kinds of different columns that give you different things. This configuration and the way we bought this is we have multiple ovens, multiple valves. It allows us to support any configuration that somebody can come up with. Because like I said, most people will have 1 pump, 1 column, 1 valve, and we have 4 or 5 valves, 3 pumps with 2 mobile phases each, and all the extra bells and whistles. Then the other thing, again, to point out, difference between nano and high flow is we use these what's called Viper fitting kind of tubing. So it's very high pressure. The pressure on this is super, super high. We have a rack changer. Each one of these there's like 9 of these in here, and each of these holds 96 wells. So you can, queue up about 900 samples into this thing. So it's a very flexible system. Prior to this, I actually was the senior director of the hybrid group. I've been doing hybrid for close to 30 years. It's kind of my background, and I'm a big instrumentation person. So I love getting into the details of all the instruments. I think it's really cool and really exciting.